Hi, my name is Andrea and I'm part of Messy Cat Creations. I do not know if I will leave the audio in this or if I will have Kathy go over the top of it, but I'll jabber at least somewhat. I'm an artist that doesn't really know or have a specific direction. I like to do lots of different things. I have done, well, I guess when I was in college, I started out with drawing. Then I switched to functional design, that is woodworking. I eventually went to ceramics. Got tired of ceramics, moved to painting, and then actually graduated with my area of emphasis in painting because I was sort of at a point where I was just like, you've been in school forever. You've been in school long enough that you should, in theory, have a doctorate. And at this point, just finish. And that's what I did. I had gone into, I also had taken an art education path because I was thinking I wanted to teach. I had thought that my entire life until I did my student teaching and sort of decided at that point that that wasn't really something I wanted to do. I got out of school, worked at the university art gallery, did some things there, and then eventually, I don't know, I went to work for my brother. He's a chiropractor. I love him to death, but doing insurance and insurance related things, as good as I may be at it, is not what I wanted to do. So in August of last year, my mother passed away, and I think I at that point sort of thought, I have a degree that I have never really used. I have a direction that I should probably at least attempt to do, that I've always sort of veered away from because I was always afraid of what if I failed. And at this point, I figure if I don't try now, I never will. So, that being said, the current thing I'm working on is basically some printmaking. I took a class in printmaking. I enjoyed it. I've done some printmaking. So, this is what I'm doing right now. This is the basis of something that I will eventually add more of. Oh, and right up front, you'll see my hands. I bite my nails, as you can see, a lot. So I know that sometimes people in comments like to say really ratty things. These are my hands. You're going to be seeing them, and they look just as gnawed as they are. I started biting my nails when I was really young. I have never really stopped. I'll sometimes stop for a little while. I start back up. I chew my fingernails. I chew the skin around my nails. It is apparently, I have learned as an adult, I guess if you have anxiety, it's sometimes a way of, I guess it's somewhere that your anxiety, you sort of place it. I didn't realize that. And I guess as an adult, knowing that, it explains a lot of things. So anyway, I've yet to get over that. I assume I never will. I tend to do it more now if I'm watching TV or movies. I just watched Nope recently and chewed the heck out of my right hand and my left hand. But I'm right-handed, so my left usually gets the worst of it because when I work on a computer, this is my mouse hand and this is my hand free to chew on. So anyway, that's that. This is a crow I've been working on. I carved the stamp, not that long ago. I was trying to see if it was, here it is. All right, here's my stamp. All right, so as you can see, this is it, but then of course when you print it, it is in inverse. So think about that if you're ever carving something and you have I tend with everything I draw to have it facing to the left. So of course I drew it facing to the left and not remembering that when you print it, facing to the right. So it is what it is. So anyway, I've been doing some prints and I'm doing a print and then I'm printing the background. I'm masking this off so that I can put in backgrounds. With the particular one, I've done a bunch of different backgrounds for them, but I decided I really wanted to do some trees. So for this print, let me set it aside. I carved this limb. It's pretty decent. This is how it's printing up so far. Ignore those brown swirlies. I used a lighter gray in the background, a darker gray on top, because I'm sort of wanting it to come in on the edges. I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to do it on the thing, but this is what I'm starting off with. But I'd like to have some variation where it's not the same limb forever and ever and ever. You can see I've moved it around. I've sort of, when I printed it, I twisted it a little bit so that it would be different each time. But I would like to have some variation. So I'm going to be carving some smaller ones that I can be adding in, probably in various and sundry, like where they come off in other spots. And then I'm probably going to be doing another large one. So this is the part of the remainder of where I had printed off my original crow. So this is what I'm going to be working with right now. This and some other little pieces, like I said, that I'm going to be doing some smaller things with. So I'm going to do the I'm going to do the drawing, and then from there cut it out and make another one. I'm going to try to make it, like I said, a little different from the one I had, just so that I don't have the same thing over and over. And then I'll have some variation when I go to print these things up. So this is what we're working with. Toss that out of the way, and here we go. I always am afraid when I'm pulling imagery from my head that I'm gonna, I don't know, I feel like sometimes that I have what would you call it? Not that it's like, like if you were to look in a dictionary, you know, and there's a picture, I sometimes worry that my brain has the same picture and that I'm going to pull the same one out of my head that I already did. You know, I mean, if somebody told me, draw a pig, I would probably draw the same pig that if somebody a year later said, draw a pig, my brain goes, and here's a pig, and I would draw a pig. So anyway, I worry sometimes that my brain has like a limited quantity of information in it. And so therefore it's going to give me, I don't know, like I said, the same regurgitated information. And I have no clue if you can see any of this. I'm hoping so. Of course, I'm going to be going right over the top of everything, and you're going to have a hard time seeing some of the things I'm doing, but hopefully it will make enough sense that you'll see what I'm doing. So I'm going to shut up for a moment and just sort of think about random limbs. I feel like pulling like a Bob Ross going, here's a little guy over here and he's looking for a friend. But anyway. Now I'll truly shut up. now I go through the process of, am I happy with it? I don't know. It is what it is. I'm saying I'm happy with it. All right. So at this point, I will start cutting a lot of this stuff out. I'm going to use an X-acto to get rid of the bulk of the background because I don't need it, and it'll save me from having to carve a bunch of stuff out. So first I need to find something to cut on, and if I were smart I would have brought something, but I'm not smart. I'm probably gonna hate myself for doing it, but I have a piece of plexiglass. I don't want to cut up this table. That's why I'm trying to be a little oh, and I make random singing sounds too, so ignore that too. She may cut this out, like I said. I tend to hum and sing and do all kinds of random things. So, like I said, you can ignore most of these random sounds. Oh, I did so good last time. Oh, too bad. Good enough. I've had this X-acto for I don't know how long. Forever and a day, I feel like. I put little rubbery things on the back of it. I assumed so I would find it easier, so it just didn't look like an ink pen. So I am using a Speedball linoleum cutter and the various and sundry bits that came with it. I will start out with this smaller one because it will allow me to sort of do the basics, and then I'll get into the other parts. Go away thing. All right. I tend to scoop in from here because then I'm going from shallow into deeper. I always worry if I went the opposite direction, I'm just going to end up with a really severe, well, I'll show you. So if I cut in this way, you can see it comes in and it does a nice little sort of shallow cut. But where it ends is sort of sharp. And I mean, I can come from this opposite side, but you know, I don't like this size. It's a different size. How is it you know you've got another thing and then you can't find it when you need it? Well, let's see. Give me a moment. I guess you're going to be the one I use, even though you're not the one I want. All right. Good enough. Okay. So this one is a little deeper, I guess I would say. So what I was saying is, when you first go in, you can see it does like a nice V, but then it leaves a chunk. Well, because of the shape of these, I'm going to come in with this shallow part, and I'm just going to trace the line right up against the edge. And then right now I'm going to swoop over here and hit this one right on the side. You see right there. So now I'm going to come back, get this opposite side. Just like that. And then you'll have some tall parts that stick up. You can just get those. Because sometimes they'll stick up high enough that they catch part of the ink. All right, and I'm going to move over to here. Hit this one. It didn't have to be exact. I mean, literally, it's a tree with tree limbs. I am not being like super anal. I'm anal about a lot of things, but this is not one of them. I'm sitting here looking at this going, why is this so blurry? Because you don't have your glasses on. Oh, man. I'm just trying to take out these bits. Anything in the background that I think is going to stick up. I'm going to just come in here. Swoop there. And then that'll sort of give me a couple little limbs there. I don't want these to be the same length, so I'm going to cut that one off a little bit. Smooth up this background a little bit too. And that's all you do. When I was in printmaking, I really enjoyed, not necessarily this, not that I didn't enjoy this, but I really enjoyed etching on metal plates. I really enjoyed that a lot, but it requires more equipment than I have. Maybe one day I'll venture into getting that equipment, but for right now I just will stick with this, and it's fairly inexpensive as far as things go. And there. I like the look of it a lot. So they've got these other things that are much larger, but I'm really lazy about changing, so I'll get some of it and then I'll clean it up with a bigger one later. And as you see, I'll start with one side, zigzag over to another in order to get whatever I want done. It seems like there's no rhyme or reason, but there is. Be careful when you do this. This is, it's a blade. It's pretty sharp. I don't know if you can see this. I don't know like how far I have to hold it up. But anyway, it's really sharp. And if you're not paying attention, you can stab yourself with it. I did that yesterday. I was carving that other limb and had my finger in front of it, just like I do here where I'm pressing, and slipped and stabbed myself with the edge. It was like two little prongs. It was like being bit by a pointy snake. And so, yeah, stabbed myself yesterday. So Kathy will find out about that when she goes to edit this video. But yep, sure did. Because I'm not the brightest bulb as far as... It isn't that I know better. It's, like I said, I'm usually just wanting to get things done, and I just do whatever's quickest, and it may not necessarily be safest, which is just about the dumbest thing you can do. But like I said, not the brightest. of doing this meaningless, tedious work, I'll jabber a little bit about art, I suppose, or my art. I have always liked to draw. Even when I was younger, I always liked drawing a lot. I pretty much like all art for the most part. I can't do a lot of things that I'm interested in. I'm really interested in metal smithing. I would love to know how to weld. My dad was going to teach me at some point before he died, and we just never really got around to it. We started to one day, and then didn't. And my mom was really good at drawing. She didn't do it very often, but when she did, I was always really impressed. Her mom was really good at stuff. She was, of course, not necessarily trained, and I don't know how much she did when she was younger. But when she retired, she loved going to the senior citizens building, and they were always doing painting classes and ceramics classes and I don't know, any kind of little crafts thing. And she was really into that a lot. And so she was very artistic. And then my grandmother, that's my mom's mom, she had 2 kids. And like I said, my mom was very artistic. She's very good at drawing, even though she rarely ever did it. My uncle, he's an excellent artist. He actually went to school for art and met his wife, who was also an artist. I don't really know. I know he's really good at drawing. I don't know if that's, I don't know how art degrees worked when he was getting his. He had 2 kids. One of them was an art major. The other was not, but just knowing how everything else goes, I would almost assume she probably has some artistic talent also, just because of that. Always took all the art classes I could when I was in high school, and then went to Murray State University for art and was an art major there for 8 years. And like I said, I was busy trying a little bit of everything. I never got into photography. I liked it, but I never did it. Never took sculpture. Liked it, just never did it. I tended to stick to, I say that. I was about to say I tended to stick to 2-dimensional, but I did take functional design and ceramics. And I enjoyed both of those. So anyway, and my high school art teacher, she was excellent in exposing us to as many different kinds of art as she could, which was in some ways really rare experience at the time. A lot of art programs in high school are very limited in what they teach you. They tend to stick to like I said, drawing, painting, more 2D things, because it's, I guess it all has to do with funding a lot of times as to how much those particular art programs can get. And, we had kiln. We had a dark room. They would bring in visiting artists to teach us. We would learn paper making. I remember they brought in some paper makers one time. We got to take trips to museums, and like I said, they did pretty well by our art program in high school. And the reason why I say that I think I was lucky, especially at that time, was when I was a freshman, we were given a survey type thing to fill out as to what kind of painting, for a lot of people it was, they had done watercolor and maybe acrylics, but they had maybe not done oil painting at all, and we had done that, and different kinds of things, or and we had done printmaking when I was in high school. We would do surface design. That's stuff having to do with fabric and dyeing fabric or sewing. We did, and I don't know. Like I said, we tried. There was a list, because we had done sculpture and we had done wood carving. We had done all kinds of things. And that the people around me, they were able to say, they had done drawing and, pen and ink drawing, pencil drawing, color pencil, crayons. But they might not have, ventured out into charcoal and pastels and oil pastels. And I don't know. Anyway. I just think I got lucky with my high school and the things I got to try. So, and as an adult, I have gotten into some, we got into doing lamp work, bead stuff. We got into doing fused glass and bought a kiln for that. We've done a bunch of different things, because as most artists are, you're always interested in various sundry forms of creativity. Like everything in the world, you're like, ooh, a new bright and shiny method of doing whatever. So anyway, that's how my art has gone. All right, I think that's most of the skinny stuff, or at least it looks like it's most of the skinny stuff. Now it just looks like the fat stuff I need to get rid of. So I will switch to something a little bigger. Take out these wider pieces with. And I don't try to get it perfectly smooth in there. I'm just trying to get these pieces that may be sticking up high enough to catch the ink. Because that's what I don't want. And there's probably a smarter, more brilliant way of doing this, but I don't know it. Which is not surprising. I took a single printmaking class at Murray. had a visiting professor that came in. She was actually, I think, a painting professor, but we didn't have a printmaking professor at the time because I think he had retired, and so they were trying to get a new one. So in the meantime, they were just having people who had printmaking experience teach printmaking, and that's what she did. And she was a pretty good teacher. No real complaints in that department. But her, like I said, she taught us how to do etchings and things, so I can't say that I'm clueless about that. But I'm sure there's a lot of things I don't know and techniques I don't know because that was not her area of emphasis. All right, get out of the way, bits. And what I'll do when I finish this is do a test print. I have some inks that I'll be using. I'll just choose a black one and just slap it down on some paper and see what happens. Because that's the only way to know if it really looks the way I'm hoping it looks, but also the only way to get it to make sure that there aren't some bits sticking up that I don't want. All right, out of the way, bits. Okay. Let me get a piece of paper. I am, get all this junk out of the way. Just using Strathmore marker paper. It's pretty thick. I like the weight of it. I like the smoothness. And I like that when I print on it, it's real smooth looking. All right. So I have a big bag of ink. I'm going to be looking for a black. Let's see. Sepia. Here's what I'm looking for. All right. As you can see, I think this is Ranger Archival ink, jet black. So this is what I'm working with. So my method is probably, who knows whether it's correct, but I just sort of, right now I'm just trying to mark this sucker up. Now normally with a stamp, you're stamping the stamp into the ink. Because of the sheer size of this thing, I stamp the ink onto the thing. And I can already see one piece that's sticking up right there. So let's get rid of it before we even get started. And that's a little squarer than I like. So there it is. All right. So let's slap this puppy down. And then I have this that I'm just going to roll it just to make sure it's getting good contact all over. This is a Speedball. Let's see what we got. Not bad. Not going to complain too much about that. So I think that'll be a nice variation. Let's pull out the other one. Ink this one up some. Just gonna rub it on there. These are really old ink pads, so they don't have as much, I'm gonna call it juice, I don't know what the heck you'd call it, as I would like for them to have, because like I said, it's pretty old. So then I think I'll slap this one right about here. You can see how precise I am about the things I do. not bad. So I got some variation. I'll get some different colors, and I think that'll not be too terribly awful in the grand scheme of things. Let's see what I got here. Nope. This is a cobalt blue. You'll see that I'm not like real precious about the things I do. I'm just like, let's just stick this right on top, and I will completely contaminate my blue ink pad with this black, but oh well, who cares? I think I'll drop this right about there. Yeah, I need to make sure I mash the back end down, but I'm not too terribly unhappy with that. Let's see, let me get you before I get it all over the table. Let's see, I want to get some more glue on here. Yeah, I think I'm pretty happy with that. Let's pull this one back out. Get some blue on it. And then drop it down right about there. Yep, I think that'll do just fine. So, now you can see what I did have, and now I'll actually have some variation. So, I'm thinking that's not too bad. It's not perfect, but it's not the worst thing I've ever done. So I will be stamping this along the edges of one of my crows, and we'll see how that goes. But for right now, this is what I've got, this is what I've done, and those are my 2 stamps. So we'll see where we go from there. All right, thanks.